Hello YouTubers, this is one of those 6 computers that came in the other night. It's a Hewlett-Packard Compaq, a Pentium 4. It's the first one I'm giving a thorough going over, and it had a couple of problems. The DVD CD ROM drive was faulty, so I replaced it with one from my spare parts bin. It had 2 gigs of memory. One of the sticks was corrupt. It wasn't working properly, and I had to throw that away. The other one, the remaining one, I put through some diagnostic software, and it performed loads of rewrite cycles flawlessly, so that's reliable, that's fine. So we've gone from 2 gigs to 1 gig of memory, but it's reliable, and we've got a new DVD, or newish DVD drive in there. It was covered in dust, and I had to get rid of that with my compressed air cleaner. It's a homemade thing I made a while ago. There's a YouTube video about it as well. So I used that, and this was full of dust, all of it, and now it's gleaming. The fans are good, they operate silently, so that's not a problem. So I'm just putting on XP, a proper version, licensed version of XP, and I'll finish off updating it. I'll probably put on OpenOffice or LibreOffice or some such. I won't put on the antivirus stuff because people like to put their own favourite versions of that on their systems. So what's left for me is to finish the software, do some cable tidying, some cable management, sort all this out, give the outside a proper clean. I've given it a once over, but I want to make it sure that it's as clean as I can get it. Hello YouTubers, and this is the first of those machines finished. In the end I didn't put any Office software on there. The downloads are taking forever, and I've got 5 more machines to do after this. So I think for all of them I'm going to do a bare bones XP installation. So that means Windows XP, Service Pack 3, make sure all the driver software is configured so that everything's updated and there's nothing missing. And other than that, I'm not going to go any further. This is at that stage. This has XP, has Service Pack 3, all the driver software is configured, and there's not much more than that. So it's a bare bones, working, activated, licensed version of XP. The machine's been cleaned up inside as well as out. I mean, that's much better than before. It's gleaming compared to before. I did some rudimentary cable management. I mean, it's not great, but it'll do. To do it brilliantly would mean I'd have to have all these wires behind the motherboard hidden, and for a Pentium 4 machine, which isn't going to generate much money, it's not really worth the time. As long as there's sufficient airflow, and there is, and everything is sturdy and reliable, and it is, this is not going to go, none of this stuff's going to fall out and go walkabout. It's all hooked up very securely. That's good enough. So we have a clean machine inside and out, no dust, fans operate quietly, reliable memory, newish DVD, ROM fitted, and the outside's been cleaned up as well. So 1 down, 5 to go. Hello YouTubers, this is PC number 2 from that collection of 6 that came in. This is that Celeron D processor. It had a faulty power supply, so I dug this one up from my spare parts bin, and seems to be working quite well. It only has half a gig of RAM. I'm going to put XP on this, and XP and half a gig, no, not a good combination. Too much page file access, things really slow up, so I'm going to try and find another half a gig from my spare parts bin. The person who had this computer before left the hard drive in there, and without doing anything to overwrite the data. It's got a full working copy of XP on there and all their data. If I was so inclined, I'd look into that. Thankfully for the person who had this before me, that's not the sort of person that I am. I'll overwrite the data. But really, if you've got a computer and you're going to get rid of it, if you don't know what you're doing, at least remove the hard drive. If you know what you're doing, overwrite the data, and if you want, do a low-level format, which is really the way to go. But at least use some scrubbing software, and if you can't do any of that, take the hard drive out. A quick update on PC number 2. The inside has been cleaned, no dust anywhere. I went over it with my compressed air cleaner. I still need to tidy the cables up, do a bit of cable management. I've replaced the PSU, and it works. I'm installing XP as we speak. I still need to find another half gig of memory if I can for my spare parts bin. If I can, I'll find a blanking plate for that. And it needs a clean on the outside. So we're getting there. And this is computer number 2 finished off. I found a gig of memory, so I took the original half gig out and put this gig in. I'm keeping the half gig for something else. So the memory's has been upgraded to a gig. All the cables have been tidied up. I mean, that's much better. Lots of airflow. I cleaned the outside. And one last update about that Celeron D PC, the Median. As you know, I've got it up and running. The only cosmetic issue left was a blanking plate for the front, which I also found. So this one is also good to go. Hello YouTubers, a quick update about those 6 PCs. I forgot my number PC this is, but it was the bland AMD PC. Well, having booted it up, it seems to be a rather nice dual-core Athlon. So that's a result. And yet again, the hard drive hasn't been wiped. So again, it's a good fortune it's fallen into my hands, because I will wipe it thoroughly. But yeah, rather good dual-core Athlon, which is a result. It's done, it's finished. I had to replace one of the RAM sticks. Again, a dodgy memory in these computers. Anyway, that's now got 1 gig of 2 half gig sticks, working perfectly. The what else do we have to do? A bit of dust, so we go to the dust of the air compressor, some cable tidying. I replaced one of the blanking plates at the front, gave it a good clean. I've just got a fresh activated install of XP. So really this is good to go. Job done. Hello YouTubers, another update about the 6 PCs. I've forgotten which one this is, which number. Either way, it's a Packard Bell, one of the Pentium 4s. Yet again, people are leaving the hard drives in untouched. Again, thankfully, it's fallen into my hands, which means I'll shred it, and no one's going to know anything about this hard drive or its contents. But this is happening so often, it's becoming depressing. Problems with this: it had half gig of memory, which I've upgraded to a gig. Half a gig for XP is it's nowhere near enough. You get horrible page file access as slows the machine up. A gig will do it. More is better. It had a 40 CD-ROM, which I've taken out and put in a DVD drive to replace it. I've did a bit of cable management, as you can see, cleaned it all up with my dust buster, gave the outside a wet clean. The major problem with this was the sound. It wouldn't work no matter what I did. I looked around on the web for various drivers, none available, even from the Packard Bell website. The legacy drivers aren't compatible with this, which is unusual. Looked at the various forums, and the only thing to do really is a workaround solution. You turn off the onboard sound and install something else, which I did. So I turned off the onboard sound in the BIOS, installed a third-party sound card, a USB jobby. Admittedly, it's not a high-end PC. You're not going to do any gaming on this or cutting-edge graphics, but for a workhorse PC, for some office stuff, surfing the web, it's good to go. So that's another one ticked off the list. Hello YouTubers, this is one of those 6 PCs. This is the Core 2 Duo that came in. It had no RAM at all, so I bought half a gig off of eBay, plugged it in, and it works. So I'll buy another half gig, bring it up to a gig in total of RAM. The CMOS battery was flat, so I replaced the battery. There was no power cable to the hard drive, so I had to buy an adapter. So that brought the hard drive back online. And when it did come online, yet again there's a working copy of XP on there, which I will get rid of. I'll format that thoroughly, wipe it all off. So from here I'll wipe the hard drive, clean it, it's very dirty, both inside and out. The usual stuff, some cable management, fresh copy of XP, activate it, and that'll be that one done. Quick update about that dual-core PC. Someone's got to this before me and has done quite a job. Just turn it around a little bit. They've pulled out the IDE cable, they pulled out the hard drive lead, so let's replace those. I had to get an adapter for the power lead from this to the hard drive. All the cables from here to here, all the I/O cables for the lights and whatnot, they were all plugged in incorrectly. Some weren't plugged in at all. So I don't know what's going on here. Someone's had this before me and sort of pulled bits out and plugged things in correctly. I wonder it wasn't working. Anyway, I've sorted all that. Fresh install of XP. It's been cleaned inside and out. Cable management. So I'm getting there. And we're back to the Intel Core 2 Duo. The last half gig of RAM came today. I've installed it, bringing the total RAM up to a gig, and it works. I ran it through a RAM testing software application and it passed everything. The only thing I didn't manage to do was to source a blanking plate for this, but it's hardly a big problem. So this machine's finished. Job done. And this is the last of those 6 PCs. It's the Dell Dimension 5150. Yeah, the fault on this was definitely down to an intermittent motherboard fault. It was a pre-post fault. It wouldn't boot at all. The only signs of life was the LED on the motherboard. The fans wouldn't turn. So it was unlikely to be the memory. It was unlikely to be a RAM problem, but I tried that anyway. No luck. CMOS reset, CMOS battery, new power supply. Nothing worked. I did some research on the forums, and these 5150s do die a death through this weird motherboard fault. And because it's a Pentium 4 and it's old, it's not really worth pursuing, unfortunately. It could be anything on the actual motherboard itself, bad caps, some solder joints around the chip might need reflowing, could be anything, but it's really not worth pursuing when it gets to that sort of level. So I'm breaking it for spares. It's weird because Dell insists on having proprietary hardware, so I can't really use the stuff from this in other PCs that aren't another Dell. So I'm putting it on eBay, breaking up for spares, putting it on eBay, and this is the empty case that's left behind. I'm not taking the motherboard out, or the cables, or the cages, because that would just be complicated matters for the person who gets this case. There's no point in going to that level of breaking it up for spares. But the power supply, the drives, what else did I take off? The graphics card, those sort of things, they could be sold on separately. So that's the 6th PC. Of all 6, 5 I got working, 6th one not really fixable. So overall, job done.